right. Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast. Episode 163 here. Altai, joined this week by...
Omer.
All right. Nice
We had
quick
a big
intro.
week this week. Battle for Azeroth has launched, and that's basically it. But that's big enough to be a big week.
It is indeed. And as a big launch of the week, we got to discuss it in the weekly raid. So let's pop that up.
Let's jump right to it.
Yep. So as you all know, WoW is still the big papa in the MMORPG space, at least in the West, you know? And the numbers for this expansion are looking pretty good so far. We don't have any exact hard numbers because, you know, Blizzard stopped releasing those. But it's number 3 right now on Twitch, most viewed games. The only ones beating it are Dota 2 right now, which, by the way, is only because it's got the big international championship going, and Fortnite, which is like this huge cultural thing now.
Yeah.
So besides those two, WoW is sitting pretty at number 3. Big launch. I know a lot of people I know, WoW and ex-WoW players are all back. So with that said, 1 week in, what are your impressions? I'd love to hear from you guys if you're playing. There's already a few tidbits coming in. But Omar, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts so far? What do you think?
It's exactly what I expected. I returned back in I only played during Vanilla a lot, and then I played briefly during Mr. Pandaria, just to level a character from 1 to 90 back then. I did that, and now I boosted a character with the launch of Battle for Azeroth from 110, and I hit 120 the other day. Kineris with the 11 months in a row, much love for him. So I played through the story, paid attention to all the cutscenes. I didn't read every little dialogue option. I just basically listened to all the cutscenes and the voice acted scenes. Thought it was all right. And I just hit 120, so now I got to start gearing up and getting on the gear grind, unlocking heroics, getting the heroic gear grind, and then start doing mythics. So I'm writing that right there at the moment. But a few things I noticed right away, having played a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, so I have a lot of comparisons between Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft. The game runs buttery smooth. That's probably the best thing about World of Warcraft, and it's always been one of the game's, like, I would say, like, most noticeable features. It just runs really well. From just moving around to attacking to your attack animations, it's perfect. I don't think any other MMORPG comes close to the smoothness that World of Warcraft has, and that's really been the biggest thing I noticed so far. But beyond that, the combat also feels a little faster paced than Final Fantasy XIV. They do have that extra, like, 2-second global cooldown now, or is it 1.5 seconds? However long it is. But I just love how the game looks and runs. I actually really like the game's art style too.
Yeah, I've actually been playing a lot more. I've been playing all day pretty much since it came out.
Yeah, Altai's been going hardcore. I've been playing pretty casually compared to him.
Yeah, so I hit 120 like within the first 2 or 3 days, and now I'm just gearing up for the raid, which the first raid comes out next month. There's no raid right now. So I'm at eye level like 323 or something. I think you have to be like 350-ish recommended for the raid, so I still got a while to go. But like I said, I've been playing a lot, and what I want to do is try to compare it to some of the other big games out right now. A lot of these, you know, a lot of MMORPGs have basically tried to emulate and copy WoW, including Final Fantasy XIV, Elder Scrolls Online, Guild Wars 2. So I want to kind of compare and contrast what this expansion did right, and how it compares to some of the other games out there that are newer than WoW, so they kind of built off WoW. First thing I find surprising, like Omar said, is how smooth it plays, and compared to some of the rivals. Despite those rivals being newer games, I think WoW is still somehow, I don't know how they did this, but it just feels smoother. The GCD, by the way, I think is about a minute, is about a second. And I know that compares favorably to Final Fantasy XIV, which is, what, like 2.5 second?
It's like 2 seconds or something.
2 seconds, yeah. So I found that refreshing, and just the combat feels, like you said, faster. There's a big PvP scene in WoW. It's always been a PvP-focused game, and I think that's a good sign. I think the fact that they have to accommodate competitive PvPers, remember there's tournaments for WoW Arena and stuff. The fact that the gameplay has to cater to this audience kind of keeps it like cutting edge. You know, it keeps it tight. So in a lot of games where PvP is not a focus, I think they get lazy with the gameplay. Like it doesn't feel smooth because it doesn't have to fight monsters. You know. So I do like that. And in fact, I'm trying to learn a little bit more about WoW to play a little bit better. And they say you should actually unbind your S key from backwards. You should not have a backwards button.
Interesting.
So what you should do is you W to move, Q and E should be your strafe, like left and right, and then you right click, hold the mouse button to turn around. And I've been trying that lately, and it does feel, it takes some getting used to, but you gotta do that if you want to be competitive in PvP especially.
Interesting. A few other things I really like about World of Warcraft is the way the game handles storytelling. you don't have to really do any of the story in World of Warcraft. Whereas in Final Fantasy 14, before you can unlock any of the raids and the content, you have to go through this like 100-hour story, which is like mandatory, and a lot of things you just literally cannot skip. There are unskippable cutscenes in the story, and they're very dragged out, and you have to do them. There's no way around it. Whereas in World of Warcraft, basically you don't have to list anything. You can skip all that crap. You can actually, I'm pretty sure you can just literally start doing mythic raiding without doing it. Am I right, Altai?
You can do mythics if you walk in to the dungeon.
You literally walk into the mythic dungeon, so you don't have to do any of that nonsense if you don't want to. It's there if you want to do it. But I think Blizzard took a smart approach of not forcing it down your throat.
But I should caveat that with, if you want to queue into heroic dungeons, you have to have a 305 item score. So but it's actually pretty ingenious, because if you want to play with your friends and they don't care that you are not geared, you just walk in and you do the dungeon. But I don't think Blizzard wants a shitty guy to queue in with a random public and they're just going to ruin it for them, you know, because he's under geared.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good balance. What do you think of that balance, by the way?
Requiring an item level to do the queue, and you can walk in without it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I think it's perfect.
It's really smart. I like Chaos Shield's statement. You can skip Final Fantasy 14 by uninstalling it. That is one way to skip the game story. While I still enjoy the game quite a bit and I love it, I do think the forced storytelling is a no-go. I love Blizzard's approach to it. I think it's handled a lot better. I think actually the cutscenes in World of Warcraft are more interesting than the cutscenes in Final Fantasy 14. And that's having played a lot more Final Fantasy 14 than World of Warcraft. I love the production value of the cutscenes in World of Warcraft. Yeah,
that's one of the points I wanted to discuss. The kind of contrasting styles that Final Fantasy 14 and WoW take with storytelling. To me, WoW has always been more a show and not tell. Don't tell story. And what I mean by that is, if you just want to PvP or you just want to get through the content, you can just click next on the quest. You can skip the cinematics and just kind of do your own thing. You barely have to know what's going on in the world, right?
Yeah.
And even if that's your case, most people probably somewhere in the middle. They'll probably read some of the text in the main story quest, so they'll have some idea what zone they're in. They'll have an idea who the big baddie in that zone is, right? But then that's it.
Yeah.
So you get kind of hints and pieces. You get the story as you need it, as you want it. Whereas I've watched people play Final Fantasy 14, and they're just kind of watching these long-ass cinematics. They have to do the story quest to unlock certain content, like you were saying. And it basically just hammers the story on you, whether you want it or not. And I hate that style of storytelling, and I feel it's very common in the Japanese mindset of game development. A lot of Japanese games.
Common in JRPGs,
yeah.
JMMORPGs, and just Japanese media as a whole. It's a very... You have these... I'm curious... I mean, I just finished most of the story in Battle for Azeroth so far, and the longest cutscene is probably no more than 5 minutes, if even that long, right?
It's like 2 minutes.
They 2 to 5 minute cutscenes at most, right?
Yeah, at most.
And then Final Fantasy 14 regularly has cutscenes where basically before you could talk to an NPC, right? And it'll say, "Warning, you are about to be presented with a long series of cutscenes. You should set aside like a lot of time before at least 30 minutes before you proceeding, yes or no." So at that moment, you can decide. If you want to do it or not, and it's a 30-minute cutscene, you just can't skip. And the way they handle the storytelling is very much like just like it's like a TV show. It feels less interactive because anytime you have long cutscenes like that, it just you're being it's just reading the story to you. You don't feel like you're really being involved with it. And I think one of the biggest reasons I like the storytelling direction a bit more from World of Warcraft is that I think you mentioned before we started the podcast that you aren't like the warrior of light. You are not the chosen one in World of Warcraft. You are a champion in World of Warcraft. You're a high-ranking officer in the Alliance or the Horde. You're not like some god. You're not like the divinely chosen being. So in an MMORPG setting, it makes a lot more sense that all the players are just high-ranking officials within the lore. And it keeps it more consistent because in Final Fantasy 14, everyone is the warrior of light, and you are literally this god slayer and the divine being, And it makes no sense in the MMORPG setting because, wait a minute, I'm the warrior of light, you're the warrior of light, we're all warriors of light. At no point does that make any sense.
Yeah. And again, it's just a direction of, I guess it's part of like the standard in Japan. I remember when I grew up playing JRPGs on our PlayStation. And one story I always remember is Persona 4. So, we got Persona 4. We wanted to play it together. We used to just watch each other play when we were kids. So what I would do is I held the controller first when Persona 4 started, right? We put the disc in, start the game. I'm holding the controller, and we're watching the cutscene at the beginning and the story. I'm like, it's kind of cool. You always want to watch some story. And an hour later, literally an hour later, I'm still holding the controller, and I've yet to use it. There's no movement yet. I just put it down and walk away. I stopped playing. Omar continues to play 4 and 5.
I love Persona.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. I don't mind cutscenes in story as long as it's kind of scattered, between gameplay. I can't just sit there for 2 hours and then I play. That's not my style. I don't like that.
I think it's fair. It's a very it's definitely a very Japanese thing. You don't get that nearly as much in Western games, and I think that's one of the reasons World of Warcraft has more Western appeal. Like a lot of like your average gamer in the United States or Europe, right? Your average COD bro, like he plays World of Warcraft. Like it's not weird to him to play World of Warcraft, but for him, if you try getting this kind of player to play Final Fantasy 14, it is a much more stigma attached to it, right? Because the way the story is told, the way the characters look, it's much more anime-ish, right? And anime is still a bit stigmatized here in the West if you don't follow or read or watch anime or anything like that. So it's much easier for an average person to get into World of Warcraft, despite the core gameplay elements being largely the same. It's just really how they present the story and the world. It really does, have less appeal to Westerners, at least for Final Fantasy 14.
It's funny that you say that because on initial, just looking for both games, WoW actually looks more cartoony, right? At first.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which I think works better because it's a 14-year-old game now, and I think they've managed to keep it looking up to date because of the initial direction they took with the art. It's easier to make it look good when it's like unrealistic and cartoony to begin with.
The biggest thing is like I really would feel bad if I asked a good friend of mine, like Erhan, for example, like I want you to play Final Fantasy 14, right? I want you to raid with me sometime just for fun, right? But I would never, on God's green earth, expect you to buy the game and level up from 1 to 70 and do all the story quests because that's too much to ask. I like my friends too much to ask them to play Final Fantasy 14 and level from 1 to 70. It's a very boring process, and going through the story, which is 100 hours long, and the story's not great. There are bits of it that are great, that are really good, but overall, I don't really. I've watched every cutscene, I've read every piece of text in the main story quest. I couldn't ask a friend to do that, right? But with World of Warcraft, if you wanted to make a new character and not use a level boost, everyone gets a free level boost, by the way, in Battle for Azeroth. You get the 110 to start from there, right? But even if you didn't have that, to go from level 100 to 110 will take a day or two of just grinding, right? You don't have to do any kind of bullshit story. You just literally grind through it in 2 days. That is impossible in Final Fantasy 14. You can't just skip the story. You have to grind through all that nonsense. It takes over 100 hours, and only then can you even begin to start playing with me, right? So if I wanted you to play Final Fantasy 14 with me, I would just actually buy you an account. I would just buy an account that's already level 70 with the story and crap already done, and that's how we would play together. But the beauty of World of Warcraft is you don't have to do the story. You just grind on your own. If you don't want to do the story, you don't have to do the story. You just play. You can start raiding right away. You don't do all that nonsense.
So I have a question. What is the total buy-in for Final Fantasy right now? If you want to buy the latest expansion, you want to buy the level skip and the story skip.
Well, if you buy the latest expansion, it comes with everything else. So you don't have to buy Heaven's Word separately. So I think you just buy Stormblood.
Right.
The base game plus Stormblood, I believe. You can there's usually deals for them for like $30 for both. They go on sale like that. Then you got to buy the story skip, which is going to be I think $25 or $30, and then you got to buy a level boost as well, which is gonna be like to level 60. And you gotta do the last 10 levels yourself for another 20, I think. So at least like $75-$80 or so to even get started.
I feel like the level skip and story skip should be.
Somebody said 110 USD, so I'm just making these. I was just trying to guesstimate, so 110 sounds about right too.
Yeah, I feel like those two should be combined, the level skip and the item skip, and one of them should come with the expansion, just like with WoW. Yeah. I think WoW has a perfect.
They're complete assholes about it too. Final Fantasy 14 story skip. You can story skip like either the mains, just Realm Reborn, or Realm Reborn and Heaven's Word. So the story skip's like sold separately. Like
what?
You gotta buy both.
Oh my god, that's
they're assholes. So
that's funny.
You can't just skip the whole thing. You got to skip them separately. So if you want, you can only skip the base game. Though I think Heaven's Word is definitely better, but it should just come as a package and start.
Yeah.
Or have the expansion, just level boost you to 60 and let you do the story skip. But I think the problem is Final Fantasy 14 story is so built upon each other, right? So I guess they want you to experience a story. That's why they don't include that for free in the expansion pack. But I think it turns a lot of players off.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Someone in chat was just actually saying they were frustrated. They were frustrated in WoW, the story in WoW, because once in a while when you're doing a quest, you gotta wait like 5 seconds while these two NPCs talk to each other, and to him that was too much. So all I can say is
he cannot handle Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, right? That's funny. Even that's too much for some people. So okay, back to WoW. Back to Battle of Azeroth. What do you think they did right this expansion in terms of features or the etc. What they did wrong? I'll give you an example. For one, the music I felt was really top notch. You had this orchestral background music in each of the zones, and it really sounded really nice. So I'd recommend listening to that if you just go, on YouTube, just search WoW Battle for Azeroth soundtrack. Anything else? What do you got?
What I liked a lot about the features in Battle for Azeroth. I felt a little iffy about the entire like level sync thing, but I understand why they did it. So you can kind of do any part of the story whatever level you want, like the Guild Wars 2 style system where everything's always your level. It felt a bit weird because when you're in a party, like when we were doing some dungeons together, like some monsters in the same dungeon were higher level for you than they were for me, and they had different HP values for you than me, which felt really weird. But because it was leveling content, it doesn't really matter. It was still easy regardless. So I guess it made sense, but it just felt a bit weird. But things that I actually did, I mean,
What do you think of the zone, like, for example, the graphics? I haven't played since vanilla in World of Warcraft, and I know you played Mist, right? So what did the game look like compared to what you thought it would look like? For me, personally, I haven't played since vanilla. I thought the game would look kind of like old, like shitty, like a 14-year-old game, you know? But I was pleasantly surprised by how good the graphics looked and how many graphic settings there were. You know, anti-aliasing, all this crap. You could really make it look good. I think it looks like it looks, as far as MMORPGs go, it looks, I think, like it could have came out this year.
Oh, it looks beautiful. I love the draw distance and just explore when you're on a flying mount through the taxis and exploring the new zones. The game looks absolutely stunning. You know, the cartoony graphics I really like a lot. There's one aspect of them I don't like, and maybe this might go into a bit of a minor disagreement here. I'll tell you, but I don't like the character models, like the amount of customization on character models, as well as the detail on like actual equipment. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a valid point. I think it comes down to the kind of player that this game attracts versus other games. Like, for example, I play max zoomed out, right? Where my character is literally like a blip on the map almost. Like, I can't see any detail, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm not really looking for that, but I know a lot of people, especially female gamers, they spend a lot of time, connecting with their character, in a very personal way, customizing the way they look, the clothes and stuff. For me, it was never a big issue.
Like, for example, if you look at do you remember the character creator when you actually made your character?
Yeah, no setting.
This is my character, by the way. I'm dropping it in Twitch chat, for example. Like my character face, right, it looked the same as like 90% of other Blood Elves in the game.
Yeah.
Because you can't actually customize your character's face. You just choose from one of like X number of predefined character faces and hair options and colors. That's it. That's the entire limit to your appearance customization. You can't change your body. You can't change like anything in the game. You just literally choose hair color, face option, hairstyle. That's it. And it's kind of, for an MMORPG where individuality is and your character, I think it plays a very big role in MMORPGs. And I really don't like that. And actually, actual equipment themselves too. Like WoW has a tremendous amount of like armor sets and stuff because how long the game has been out, right? And with the transmog system is equal to glamour in Final Fantasy 14. You can customize whatever you want your armor to look like. And the actual armor themselves, if you look at that picture, it looks very flat. Like you don't really see the textures on my character's body, my plate mail, for example. It just looks very blah to me.
Yeah, but how much of this do you think was an art direction thing, and how much of it was just the fact that it's a 14-year-old game?
Well, I think a lot of it's not the art direction. No, it's a 14-year-old game, right? Where while they updated the game's visuals a lot, they couldn't like remake the textures a lot on like the actual armor pieces. Like it doesn't look like there's depth to them, if that makes sense.
Oh, it definitely makes sense. And even when WoW came out 14 years ago, I don't know if you remember, but the number of face styles, hairstyles was tragically limited. Like it was way less than even like those crappy Korean MMORPGs that were churning out back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So WoW has always been weak on character creation. You can't adjust the height. You can't adjust like so many games even back then had the whole like eyebrow, the eye size, like nose angle and like lip size. WoW had never had any of that. Even so WoW has always been poor on that, even when it came out.
Yeah, and if you look at like Final Fantasy 14, for example, I mean, I don't think it's any real comparison. I just looked at random glamour I found on FFXIV Glamours, right? It's a subreddit, and look at the detail on the clothing, right? It looks like it pops out, right? There's some actual texture to it. Look at the shoes. There's laces on the shoes with the sleeves on the character. I mean, this is a random weird ass looking glamour, right? But the point is, while I love the visuals of World of Warcraft, like everything but the individual characters themselves. Like your player character has almost no personality to it. Like when I log into Final Fantasy 14, I see my character. I'm like, this is my character. Yes, there are similar looking characters, right? But to have the exact same glam and the exact same appearance is going to be pretty rare. Whereas I'm walking around in World of Warcraft, these people that look very similar all the time, because the character model is just so limited.
You know what's funny though? I have the opposite opinion on not the character. You're right about the characters, right? But I have the opposite reaction to the world. To me, like look at the background in the screenshot you sent me. I feel like the characters look unique in Final Fantasy 14, but the background itself looks just generic. Like it almost looks like a 1990, the 2004 rendering of like a room. You know, like, right? Like it doesn't pop. Whereas the zones in WoW for me pop way more than the characters do.
That's fair. I mean, it's very hit or miss.
Like,
I think.
Look at the textures on the floor in this thing. It's just like this. It looks like a 2004 like single player RPG or something.
The art style is going for more realism. And realistic, you know, like I guess it's not as exciting or as colorful.
I'm zooming on this pillar. Look at the pillar behind the character, okay? Like come on, like that looks like 1998, like voodoo graphics.
That pillar just looks bad. I agree.
Come on, like what is this? Like it's like literally 2 pixels. Like it's 2 polygons, one for the top half, one for the bottom half.
Again, that one room isn't a fair example of the environments of Final Fantasy 14. I think the environments of the game look quite well actually. I'm not talking so much. That pillar is a bad example, but I'm not talking about the quality so much as I guess the aesthetic choice. It just looks very generic compared to the characters. So the contrast is opposite of WoW, in my opinion. And second, I think I don't like this glamour. By the way, the shoes and pants. It's something obviously out of our world, right? Like. But the whole point is Final Fantasy 14 has a ton of variety that way. So I linked you a page right now, Yours Your Collection. I dropped it in a Twitch chat as well as Slack for you. And to just scroll through there, for example, do you see anything like just look at the glamour sets? These are just, you know, the default outfits that if you wear the whole suit, you look like that, right? Mm-hmm. And just look at the detail on these compared to the detail on World of Warcraft.
No, I totally admit that point. Yeah. My point I'm bringing up though is, in my opinion, like these all look like they fit the fantasy setting. But the one the previous picture you linked me. Like you're wearing pants and like a shirt. Like it seems like it doesn't belong in that world. There's not a clear aesthetic, I feel, in Final Fantasy 14. Like,
well, it gives you the freedom to mix and match wherever you like, and because of that, people end up creating really wonky outfits. You'll see characters from like animes recreated in game. You'll see from popular TV shows recreated in game, and that's by mixing and matching outfits.
I'm not a fan of that. I like it a lot. I don't like that. I don't like that.
But look, you said before when everyone just follows the mold, it ends up being very boring. And I love the fact that you can do all this wonky stuff in Final Fantasy 14.
It's not about being wonky. It's about the fact that like what time zone am I in? Like the only time I'll give it a pass is like in a sci-fi game where like maybe they're traveling through dimensions or something, like or through time. But like if I'm in this fantasy world with like dragons and like spellcasters and mages, and you come up to me with like you know, like this glass, like a guy that's dressed like you or me, like today in this world, you know, like it doesn't fit in my opinion. Like, it kind of breaks the suspension of disbelief.
So if you want to see some more environments, I guess look a little bit of this video if you can skim through. Actually, this is just me running around. If you start at like 3 minutes on that video, you can see more environments, because I do think that one pillar you showed off earlier is not a fair look at the visual.
You linked that video, that clip, not me.
Well, I wanted to show you the glamour itself, not necessarily, you know, anything else.
So okay, even this town, to me, in my opinion, I feel like it kind of looks like one of those Korean MMORPGs where it's a very generic town, but the characters are the emphasis. And this is true in a lot of Korean games. Like the characters look great, but the world itself looks like this generic 3D realistic like ish world. Like, there's no character. Like look at the grass. Look at.
I see that. Yeah. I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's a big deal. And I think it's pretty normal because, you know, the characters are supposed to be the heroes of the story. Okay. You're supposed to be the special characters. You know, the NPCs don't really look wonky. A lot of NPCs look very normal. Actually, if you see NPCs in the background, whether it's shopkeepers or whatnot, they look very plain, right? Only the players end up looking really, you know, they really stand out.
Right. And again, it's an opposite art direction than WoW, where I think NPCs have a lot of emphasis on them, especially the main characters.
Well, actually, if you look at Final Fantasy 4, I don't know if you remember, if you know this, I'll type, but Final Fantasy 14 1.0 actually had like objectively better graphics, like much more improved visuals than Final Fantasy 14 as is today.
Say it again.
The original Final Fantasy 14, before it was remade to Realm Reborn, actually has better graphics.
Really?
Yes. One thing they did with the remake of the game was they toned down the graphics a lot, because I think to lower the system requirements. And they actually made some changes to the character models as well. So a weird thing is they actually removed asses for characters, where like the female models actually had like nice butts, for example, right? They don't have butts anymore. All the butts are basically removed.
No butts allowed in Asia.
No butts allowed in Final Fantasy.
They ain't about the butts in Japan. How about boobies? Do they still have boobies?
They're basically flat boobies as well. You really can't get very big boobs in Final Fantasy 14 as a player character, unfortunately.
What's the point?
Right? What's even the point? But I love World of Warcraft's aesthetics outside of character models. So I think I guess we're the opposite over there. Mm-hmm. Like I love the world in World of Warcraft. I don't love the character models because there's no customization. And beyond just appearance customization, the glamour customization just doesn't do it for me either. At no point can I really feel special on my character. But for some reason, every time I log into Final Fantasy XIV, I look at my character, I'm still like, damn, you know, like, I like my character, right? My character's adorable. I love the way my character looks in a very cute way. Okay. I don't feel that connection.
I'm going to play a clip from your video, okay? Starting at 4:18. Hold up.
Okay.
Look at this like random dungeon, I guess, in this room. Could you... Like, I literally could not tell what game this is from. This could be from one of a million fantasy games, right? This is generic dragons on the floor. This generic like building. Like, there's nothing unique. There's no charm to this world. Like, the characters I get. Okay, I'm with you on the characters. But this looks like it could be like Dark Souls. It could be anything. It could be like a random RPG. Like, there's no aesthetic here.
Yes, the environment and stuff look very generic. I'll give you that, and the art style of the game is not very distinct. Right. But I think as a package, it still ends up looking great. Because again, while the art style for the world doesn't look particularly distinct, you still have really good character models. All
right, fair enough. So some competition between Final Fantasy XIV and WoW.
Well, aesthetics. Not too much competition. You know, we all know World of Warcraft is by far the #1 MMORPG.
Let's drop a straw poll, and which one do you think has better aesthetics? Art direction, not quality of graphics, like per se.
Just do you prefer the graphics in Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Be the poll. I'll put it up.
I want to see if I'm alone. Look, like this to me looks a lot like Dark Souls ish, like this world.
Which graphics?
14's winning. Oh, Wildstar. All right, Crunchy Fish has the sleeper vote.
All right, I'm dropping the poll, boys. Let's see it. Let's see the numbers. I'm gonna put my vote for Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh my god.
Again, I love World of Warcraft as well. Look, the thing is, this wouldn't be a big deal if it was literally any other genre, right? But for an MMORPG, I think character models and connecting with your character is one of the most important things in an MMORPG. In fact, you know, when Shirley used to tell us all the time, like, she wouldn't play a gender-locked game where she couldn't do certain things. Like, your connection to your character is what brings you to that world. It makes you feel connected to that world. And it is more important for female players, for sure. I think the average female player, it plays a much bigger role. And that's one of the reasons Final Fantasy XIV's got more female players. 30% female versus, I think, a little less than 23% for World of Warcraft.
That makes sense.
Easy Machiavelli says, I would ban everyone who voted for WoW. Wow, yikes. And with that, we got to bring up Perfect World. Because my man, Easy Machiavelli, MySoStream mentioned Perfect World, all right? I got to mention the character creation in Perfect World, and I think it is by far the best character creator of any MMORPG. I'm going to go and drop you that link, Altai, and I demand you show it off for a second.
Oh my god. All right.
I love the character creator in this game. All right, you want to talk about immersion? Nothing quite has the same immersion as Perfect World. The best character creator of any MMORPG, hands down, boys. Just look at the character at the start of that video, all right? And I want to show you another clip for us in a second. If you skip ahead in that video to something like see if we can find. If you can skip to 13, go to 14 minutes in that video. 14 minutes, 14:23 in that video to see another beautiful character.
14:23. Okay. Oh my god.
Do not tell me that is the most. What a character creator, boys. What a character creator.
This looks like a VR horror game. That's a good description.
I love that you can do that, though. Like, so few games let you do that. So few games give you this freedom. So in the video, Alta, can you also go to 2:27 and check out that those are a pair of good old
titties. Oh my
titties.
god.
You will never see boobs like that in literally any other MMORPG but Perfect World, all right? This is literally the peak.
Damn, look at those thighs.
Throw that shit out the window, all right? It's all about Perfect World. The Chinese had it figured out years ago.
Man, look at those legs. She's thick.
Look at her face compared to the size of her boobs, all right?
Oh, no, her face
Only
is big.
haters will say it's fake. The perfect ratio, boys. This is what peak female looks like, all right? This is perfection.
This gives players an unrealistic body image, okay? No, not everyone can have a pea-sized head and ginormous boobs.
No, nothing quite like that. If you look at my character at the end of the video, go to like 1748 when I actually made my character. I'm actually in game. I went with a little more normal looking character. All right.
Oh my god.
Check her out.
Beautiful.
You can actually do this. This game actually lets you do this, and I absolutely love it. You know, forget Black Desert Online. Perfect World, #1 MMORPG.
I can't take this game serious. Like, who can be immersed in this? Like,
I could be. You could be immersed in those titties. Right? They will envelop you. I love the way the eyes are like touching each other too. It's whew, what a game.
It's creepy.
It's amazing.
It's like a mutant.
This is peak MMORPG, boys.
Yep.
WoW and Final Fantasy 14 got nothing on Perfect World. All right. You can jump 30 feet in the air as well, as EC Maculate points out. That was one of the weirdest things about Perfect World. You can like literally jump over trees and you can double jump, and you just jump like crazy high in the air. But I think the reason a lot of people in this chat preferred Final Fantasy 14 graphics over World of Warcraft, one, it does appeal to more fans of anime, more weeby for sure. Like that's 100%, right? But for an MMORPG, you really can't understate the importance of character customization. It's what, like, people play these games. Like, at the end game of basically every MMORPG is glamour and customization. Even in World of Warcraft, like, after you do all the raids, what else is there left to do? You try collecting rare mounts. You try
PvP.
No, that too, but you try collecting all the rare stuff, and Guild Wars 2 as well. You collect all the rare dyes, the rare gear, and just get cool outfits. And if World of Warcraft can fix their... they really can't, because it's an old game now. If they can add that, it would be the perfect MMORPG. And that's the biggest strength of Final Fantasy 14 over World of Warcraft, I think. Fashion Fantasy 14 is true endgame, and that's a true endgame in a lot of MMORPGs. It's a meme when people say fashion is the endgame for an MMORPG. It's a meme, but it's true for most people.
Right, well, here's another prediction, guys. How do you think Battle for Azeroth will do in the months ahead? Obviously, it's got a strong launch with expansion, but I think a lot of people are going to fall off because of... Okay, let's talk about how easy the game is today versus older games. So one of the downsides to making it more accessible is you kind of burn through the content so quickly. Like, you finish the story within a couple days. You do the dungeons each like a couple times, and then at some point you're going to be like, why am I still playing? And I know you said some people like collecting the cosmetics and stuff, but
a lot of people like doing that. That is the end game for any MMORPG.
I think you're wrong, man. Yeah. I think you're wrong about that.
I don't think so.
Because here's the thing. I think there's an order of magnitude more players in WoW than Final Fantasy, right? So you're
yes.
the players who like that stuff, yes, I think a small minority.
I don't know if you know this, Altai, but even in World of Warcraft, there are more cosmetics in World of Warcraft than there are in Final Fantasy 14, and people love collecting that shit.
Oh yeah, it's true. But I think there's a core audience, right, that'll stick around for a long time for that stuff. But like you said, the COD bro kind of people who are just there for the gameplay. I'm talking about those guys, and those I think are the tens of millions of players, of gamers.
I don't think so. I don't think the majority of WoW players are the COD bros that are in there for the gameplay. I think a lot of people are in the game for the world and to collect cosmetics and collect items. Why did they even add like battle pets? The vast majority of people.
No. You're right. The vast majority of players who were there 2 months ago were there for that, right? But now with the new expansion this month, I think millions of players came in, right? And they're gonna play the game for the gameplay. But because there's so little of it, right? They're gonna burn through it in a month or two, and they're gonna drop out. And you're gonna be left again with that smaller base that's there for the cosmetics.
No, that's the larger base.
Really? So right now, you think the current player base of WoW with the expansion launch, you think they're there?
The 5 million people that are playing World of Warcraft, and pulling the number out of my ass, but that's my guesstimate, right?
It clearly went up a lot, though, right?
By the way, you guys, all the people that are playing World of Warcraft today, the vast majority will finish the story, get to level 120, and literally never do a mythic dungeon. The people that do the mythic dungeons get burnt out of those are the people you're talking about. But the vast majority of players will never do the mythic content anyway, or the mythic plus content. That's for the hardcore 5% of the player base. You talk about a fraction of the player base already. Like, I know people that play Final Fantasy 14 to just literally collect items. Like, they log on for literally every day and they play like 5 hours running old dungeons just to get some rare piece of more content for the more clothing, cosmetics for their fashion wardrobe. And that's fun, and I don't blame them. They want to get all the mounts in the game, all the pets.
I think if that's your audience, you're never gonna get a game the size of WoW again. Like
that's WoW's audience too.
No, it's WoW audience.
WoW has pet battles, and
that's WoW's audience between expansions. I get that.
No, that's WoW's audience all the time.
I don't think so.
And those people that collect pets and they still play the new expansion. They do all the content. They do all the leveling.
Yeah,
they do all the dungeons.
Yes.
They just don't do the mythic content.
Okay, and but
that's the majority of players. The majority of players don't do mythic plus content or mythic content even. They do looking for raid. LFR is like the average person will do LFR and that's it.
And then they quit. They're not going to be
the people that do the mythic content grind it out and then quit. The guys who do the LFR,
millions of people are going to quit in the next few months, right?
Well, sure.
Okay, those players are okay. They're going to lose.
Those aren't the majority of players. WoW's player base will not have in the next like 3 months.
It might. I don't know.
Spikes for every expansion and goes back to a normalized level.
I guess I don't know what the exact jump in is between the monthly expansion and.
Look, from my experience, in almost every MMORPG, the end game is rarely gameplay. It's always going to be collecting rare stuff.
So how do you explain how do you explain Vanilla's success then?
Well,
there was no cosmetics.
Yes, one of the reasons Vanilla did really well was it was one of the earlier MMORPGs where we were in a different world, right?
What?
It was one of the earlier MMORPGs, and what really made Vanilla WoW do really well is it took all the old ideas from EverQuest and Dark Age of Camelot and whatnot, and just did a more polished experience.
Sure, but
that's all you needed to succeed.
It had no cosmetics. So here's a question.
It did have cosmetics.
What? No, it didn't.
It did have some, yeah.
What?
But people didn't play MMORPGs for the same reason back then.
Okay, so you say, okay, how about this then? I bet when Vanilla WoW launches, without transmog, it will be bigger than a lot of MMORPGs with fashion stuff, including probably Final Fantasy 14.
Well, it will not be bigger than the entire cumulative player base for World of Warcraft outside of Vanilla WoW.
Oh, sure, okay.
Yeah, but there's a lot of nostalgia for Vanilla WoW as well, and it is a magical experience, and I think it'll do really well. I think it'll be the single most popular server in the game. But to say the Vanilla WoW server will be bigger than Final Fantasy 14, I think is insane. That's not going to happen. Then all of the Final Fantasy 14 player base combined? No way. It'll be bigger than like Cal Online or like RF Online or some obscure MMORPGs, but it's not gonna touch Final Fantasy 14.
I think we'll rival it. Maybe it won't beat it, but it'll be like more than half.
You are grossly optimistic.
Okay, we'll see.
Vanilla servers can only hold like what 10,000. They say we have like 10,000 players.
Concurrent.
Per server, concurrent.
Yeah.
How many? Are they gonna open more than? They're gonna have like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Of those servers.
Yeah.
We'll
by the way, when Astralius came out and we were talking about it, the 10-20,000 concurrent servers players, there are multiple vanilla servers, private servers. Their cumulative player base, concurrent, was probably like 50,000 players.
It was big, I know, and I'm optimistic on vanilla on the classic WoW server. I just don't think it's gonna rival the entire player base of Final Fantasy 14.
I think it might rival the North American player base.
Also, I still firmly believe the people that are playing World of Warcraft and that will keep the casuals, the average player is playing to collect items. He's not playing to Mythic Raid or do anything like that because he's not even trying to do Mythic Raids.
I get your point. You need the cosmetic stuff and the collectibles to keep people going because they burn through the content. But I really believe people are there originally for the content, mainly for the content.
If they're there for the content, why are they trying to do Mythic Plus or Mythic?
They can't.
They don't care about this.
They suck. They suck at the
game. They don't even want to try.
You don't know that. I know a lot of people who do both. I know a lot of people who playing.
I have friends who don't even try doing the Savage Raids in Final Fantasy 14. They don't even try to do them. Not necessarily because they can't. Some of them probably could, but they're not playing the game for that reason. They're playing the game for a different reason, and their reason is nowhere invalid than mine.
No, it's not valid. I'm talking about the number of players involved. I think you're overestimating the percent who play. I think you're overestimating the people who don't care about the actual content, the gameplay content.
I like what Remix My Life just said. I remember when I was taking Taekwondo, my teacher would always talk about WoW, and I was thinking, this guy is stupid. He should play MapleStory instead for a better experience. I can just imagine telling your karate teacher, your Taekwondo teacher, to go play MapleStory instead. MapleStory is a great game. Best experience right there, all right?
With that, we should move on finally to MapleStory 2, because today is a special day. They held this huge event, apparently. They flew people in from overseas to to California, I guess, for this global event where they're gonna announce the launch date and more. I know you know a lot about it.
I'm pretty sure they asked if we were gonna be in LA area around this time. I said no because I didn't want to go, but but it would have been cool to go maybe. But yeah, they did announce the release date for MapleStory 2, which, as you can see in the background of this Battle for Azeroth article, MapleStory 2 is launching October 10th with a standalone Battle Royale mode being available tomorrow on August 22nd.
Standalone Battle Royale mode? What?
Yes, which is really weird, right?
That is really weird. I did not expect that.
Yeah, that's what surprised me too. Because in order to play MapleStory 2, fully launched October 10th, the level cap will be 60 instead of 50. There's a new class coming out, 12 new dungeons, ton of shit coming out with the game. But what's really weird is that starting tomorrow, you can literally play MapleStory 2, but only Mushking Royale, the Battle Royale mode, on a standalone client starting tomorrow. So they are very optimistic on their Battle Royale mode, and there are some changes coming to Battle Royale in the game. There's squad modes available. It's up to 4 players can be teamed up. They're adding more items to find and some other goodies. So they're revamping it, and they're hoping it does well as a standalone title until the launch.
Very bizarre. Did not expect this.
I didn't either, because I thought it was like kind of cool to have within the game. It's not something I would play just to do MapleStory Battle Royale. It was just awesome to have in game. But what made it really good is that it was within the world of MapleStory 2, where you could be doing other mini games, do these races, do these like arcade style games. and have Battle Royale in the same world. But as a standalone title, I don't see myself like wanting to download this and just play this. So I might try it just for fun, because while I wait to, if I want to scratch my itch for MapleStory 2.
Sadly, we're not going to be in town this week. We're going to a wedding, so we can't do Grand Fest Friday. But I'm down to try it next Friday, the Battle Royale.
Yeah, we could do some Battle Royale. We could do some MapleStory 2 Battle Royale.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think it'll do well as a standalone game in the meanwhile?
I mean, nobody could have predicted how successful Fortnite Battle Royale would have been. So I don't want to write it off completely, because I'm old now. I don't know what the kids are into these days. But if I had
this though,
and if I had to guess, if I had to make a prediction, I would say no. It is not going to be successful.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
It works as a mini game, but I don't think there's enough meat on the bone there. It's not fluid enough. Hopefully they fix that though. By the way,
yeah, it did feel a bit laggy. It didn't have like the 100 players that you've seen in Fortnite or PUBG. I think it had like 40 or 50 or something, or a little bit less. Yeah. It just felt a little laggy. It
did. I don't know if laggy is the right word. Just janky. Like it's maybe the delay between spells when you actually cast a spell versus when it goes off. Just a little bit of delay. I guess maybe it's built into the engine. I don't know. Just felt a little wonky.
I think the reason MapleStory 2 as a game will do really well though is all that beautiful appearance customization. You know, the fashion is a late game, and in MapleStory 2 you can create your own fashions we talked about before, and that's one of the reasons I'm very optimistic for MapleStory 2. And I'm really hoping it does well, because I had a lot of fun playing it during the closed beta.
Again,
they are reselling Founders Packs, which which very oddly sold out during closed beta too. So they had like a very limited number of Founders Packs. I think it was only limited because they didn't want too many players to swamp the servers. But now they're going to be probably selling unlimited Founders Packs if you still want to buy them.
Nice. All right, so August 22, Battle Royale
is the big release date.
Yeah, for the main game. Yeah.
The game's been doing well in China. The South Korean version still has not really been doing too hot, unfortunately. But we'll see how it does in the West. They might pull another Black Desert Online where the game is more successful in the West. BDO is, I think, the only Korean game that comes to mind, South Korean game that's more successful overseas in the West than it is in its home market. You know, BDO makes more money in North America and Europe than it does in Asia. Forget just South Korea, all of Asia. And usually for these, MMOs, Asia is the big money center, especially for a Korean developed game.
Indeed.
Galaxy, I love the visuals. I love the art style in MapleStory 2. It's so cute. It's like painfully cute. And I think if they had more mini games and stuff like that, it's gonna be great. Great game to hang out in. Because look, just the other day they added a new there was an event in Final Fantasy 14. I'll play. So in the event, it's basically you do like some nonsense. You get some like swimsuits, right? You get a swimsuit and some glasses, which whatever, right? But at the end of that event, there's this tower. It's a jumping puzzle. I literally spent like 40 minutes just trying to do this jumping puzzle, and I couldn't do it. It's actually pretty hard. But like, I just loved having that extra thing in Final Fantasy 14 to do. Like, it's not something you're gonna log into the game just to do, but having that in the game to just work on is fun. And MapleStory 2 just does that so well. You have all this other shit you can do in game beyond grinding that I think can be really fun.
Yes, I think it's important to have all these secondary things, but I think it's important to remember they're secondary. Mm-hmm. So again, I think most people, like vast majority of gamers, are there for the gameplay, the initial, the main core content, and the extras are just that, extras.
In any other genre, I would agree with you, but I don't think MMORPGs thrive on quote gameplay, which is this combat. If you want gameplay, just pure combat action, why are you playing an MMORPG? If you want action, if you want pure gameplay, go play a MOBA, go play League of Legends. Even World of Warcraft Arena, which is probably the best MMORPG PvP ever. If you want just pure PvP, why are you putting it in an MMORPG? There's no benefit to having it wrapped around an MMORPG sticker. Go play Battlerite or something,
right?
Where you can have the gameplay outside of an MMORPG in a more streamlined fashion. I think what makes MMORPGs great is that it has all these things going on at once in the same world.
Okay, all these things going on. Remember, so I got two things to sell you. Okay, one is you just great housing, great jump quests, great cosmetics, but you got to play like a couple hundred hours of shitty content to get to it.
Well, I know, nobody's defending that. The 100 hours of required mandatory story content is awful. I think that's the reason Final Fantasy 14 isn't a bigger game today. I think despite that huge weakness, Final Fantasy 14 is still the second most subscribed MMORPG in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're talking just on the subscription front. Obviously, not the second most successful MMORPG, but second most subscribed MMORPG. Despite that, and it's actually, I couldn't imagine asking someone to play Final Fantasy 14 with me because they would have to go through all that garbage, which I know is garbage. My buddy Chaos Shield, who loved Final Fantasy 11, I convinced him to play Final Fantasy 14, and he actually did all the story, and he wanted to kill himself because how bad it was. And he has many, look, I don't love the story either. I actually really hate the story, but it has some good parts to it. But he did all that, and then he just couldn't do it anymore. He just the fact that he even finished the story was surprising. It's if they let everyone skip the story if they wanted to, I think it'd be better. The people that want to skip the story don't give a shit about the story anyway. If you require players to watch long cutscenes that they don't want to watch, they actually get resentment in them. Like, they actually hate the game even more than they would otherwise. Because if they want to skip it, let them skip it. They don't care about the story anyway. It's there for the people that want it. I have friends that love the story, and it's good for them. Let them love it. But the people that want to skip it, they should be able to skip it.
Indeed. All right, well, I have a quick cautionary tale about MapleStory 2's approach here. So I think it's very tempting these days to launch a standalone Battle Royale spin-off, right? Mm-hmm. And do you remember we played Realm Royale when it came out? And we thought it was fun, but we quickly dropped it. We didn't keep playing. And so here's something. I want to show you the Steam charts for Realm Royale. So it peaked at 100,000 concurrent users. And this game only came out in June. So only like, what, 3 months ago? And now look how much it's fallen. It's only got 2,600 people on right now. And if you look over here, in July, it lost 70% of its player base. In August, it lost 40% of what was left of its player base. And it seems to be just declining. So I think next time is making a mistake here. I think they should have kept it as one game.
Yes, because Paladin is still much more popular now than Realm Royale. But I do think Realm Royale did some really, really wonky things. I mean, obviously, I don't think any one gameplay change ruined the game or anything, but they made some really wild changes to the way you acquire your special weapon as a class. Very questionable decisions there. But more importantly, last time I played the game, I just felt it just ran worse. I just feel like the netcode got worse as the player base dropped, which is really weird because you think with a smaller player base, less strain on the servers would just run better. But it just felt more wonky. Maybe it was just my experience. I don't know, but...
So you think they lost their player base because they slightly changed the way you get the epic weapon?
They weren't slight changes. They were monumental changes. Monumental. And they made multiple monumental changes, which isn't the only reason.
That's the red herring. It's a red herring. It's kind of like the culling, man. So the culling people said, oh, well, they changed the combat. That's why it went. No, it died. What H1Z1? Like, these games, it's such a pop fad, and everyone moves on to the next one. And I think Fortnite is so tight.
That is the biggest reason. Yes, they move on to other games as well, and they want to play it at the launch. But there's like games like the Calling, they had a lot of good things going for them. It was like the only melee focused battle royale game, and that alone made it really fun to some regards. But there were a lot of fundamental problems with that game as well. The fact that it was on a very short map, there was some other design problems with the game. Though you really can't see the Calling relaunch numbers because the relaunch version is separate from the Calling version on there. And you can't really just see them on Steam charts, for example. But H1Z1, the player base is largely dead as well. Everyone's playing Fortnite or PUBG right now.
I mean, even PUBG. If you look at PUBG's numbers on Steam, which is represents the PC player base. I mean, it is tanking. Obviously, it's still high because look at the sea of red since February this year.
I mean, better, Char. Look at the player base when it was 1.6 million in January of 2017, right? January 2018 was 1.6 million average player base concurrent. Now it's 650,000. That's down more than like 60% in a matter of like 8 months. All these players are moving on to Fortnite. Yeah,
so I think it's I think next time's making a mistake here, but time will tell.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Wait and see for sure. But I don't think people are going to play MapleStory 2 for the Battle Royale mode though. I think they're mistaken if they think that's what's going to really attract people to the game. It's nice to have, but not the cream of the crop. I want to go to a fun story real quick. It's a very short one, but I just thought it was really funny. Mainly for, I guess, amateur, for like really, really childish reasons. So this game called Guardians of Ember is changing publishers. Gameforge is now going to be the publisher for this one. The previous publisher was called INSEL Games. What do you think about the name, Altai? When I read INSEL Games, I just chuckled.
The premier publisher of MMORPGs.
There you go. Like, it's such a bad name for a game company, especially an MMORPG company called INSEL Games.
No, I feel like they got screwed because I think that word only became associated with what it is today recently.
That's true as well. It's just really funny that my favorite game company is INSEL Games. Cringe.
You know what it reminds me of? Okay, so apparently there was like this research company called ISIS in America, and they had to change their name after the whole terrorist thing. And it's not their fault. ISIS used to be like is still the goddess, some Egyptian goddess, yeah. But obviously nobody can use the name ISIS now, at least for like this generation. Maybe eventually they'll forget about it. But It is funny when stuff like this happens.
But yeah, they lost the license to Guardians of Ember. It was really, this was like a Path of Exile style game, a Diablo 3 style game. But get this, it was developed by Runewaker, right? The guys that made Runes of Magic, some third-rate Asian company, right? And it was a buy-to-play game. And surprise, surprise, why would anyone pay money for an ARPG when you can play Path of Exile for free, right? Or you can play Diablo 3 if you want to pay money for it, right? There was no reason to pay money for Guardians of Ember. And for that reason, it never had more than like 200 players online, and the player base has tanked since. But now that Gameforge is picking it up, I think they're going to make it free to play like all their other games. So they might have a chance. But even as a free to play game, you have a game like a juggernaut like Path of Exile, which is arguably the best or one of the best ARPGs out there.
Yeah, I think Path of Exile pretty much has that market cornered. I don't see a reason. And here's the thing, Path of Exile is not sitting on their hands. Every 3 months, there's a massive update to the game, and this is an excuse for me to play that trailer again. So let me find that. So I'll just play it from here, I guess. But yeah, Path of Exile has a new league coming out called Delve. They're basically adding an unlimited cave. You can just go down to levels, you know. And I feel like this is a great feature. I think talk about something every MMORPG should have. You know, you're talking about cosmetics and everything, jump quests. What about an endless tower and just see how far you can get?
Oh, I love it. Stuff like this is amazing.
Yeah.
It keeps players interested, and every time you play, it'll be a little different as well. I think one of the biggest like downsides to an MMORPG, like the content-wise, it's very stale. Like when you do a raid in World of Warcraft, or you do a raid in Final Fantasy 14, it's the same thing every time, right? It's really fun to learn the challenge the first time, but after you've already cleared it a couple times, it's literally the same thing over and over and over again. The only thing left to do is optimize for your DPS, so you can, I guess, get bragging rights on like third-party websites to see how much damage you did, right? But if you have endless and like varied dungeons like this, where it's kind of different every single time, it's awesome because every time you do it, it'll be a little bit different. I think more fights, whether encounters or dungeons like this, have to be based on RNG.
Yeah, and Blue Legend, someone mentioned, has some kind of endless dungeon, and we did actually we streamed that. You just go up to levels. Can you imagine a game like Final Fantasy 14 or WoW, where like you get sucked into some alternative universe by some god or something, and he makes your party fight raid bosses from the beginning of the game, the first expansion, all the way to the current, and each time it gets harder and harder, and just seeing how far how long your party can last. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. I think the biggest weakness, though, of MMORPG raid fights, from my experience, is how static they are. As I said, the first time you do it, they're all the same. I think fights in Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, any MMORPG should be built around some kind of RNG. Like where a boss has like a moveset, right? And instead of the moveset being repeated in patterns, they should just literally be more random. Like it shouldn't be that like you can close your eyes and you know exactly like at 4 minutes, 15 seconds, a boss will cast this attack and you'll be an AoE in this spot, and it's always the same. It's always the same. So you can really just like close your eyes and just grind through it. If you've done, I've done so many fights Final Fantasy 14, I just literally know where to go, what to do at all times, because I've just done them so many times. But if the fights were designed around like, he's got this set of moves, and the order he uses the moves is random or not predetermined, that would keep players on their toes and make the fights more engaging and interesting every single time.
I know we discussed the WoW vanilla difficulty versus raids today, and I know you mentioned one of your friends said something like the old raids were basically gear checks, not so much mechanics, right? But what you just described, there's some value to that, because the problem once you rely on mechanics for a boss fight, it can be memorized very easily. Like there are people who play Dark Souls one time and they have fun, but then you watch some of these streamers and they beat the game with like a rusty dagger without getting hit once.
Yeah, of course.
To me, that's not good game design. That's all that shows you is that the game is very predictable. There's a simple way to do everything. Everything is a learnable pattern, and that's not the way I want. Like that's not fun for me. Like I don't want to go, okay, it's just 3 seconds into the raid, you go left. 5 seconds in, you go right. You can literally, like you said, if you could teach a blind person to play. A
lot of fights are like that in MMORPGs.
I don't like that. I'd rather just have a fight where, in my opinion, a spank and tank is better than that. Like, what is the point of? It's like forcing people to like recite the anthem while spinning a top in their hand. Like it doesn't add anything to the game. Like it's like a tedious mechanic.
Yes and no, because I think having things like that in the game, the fact that people do love Dark Souls so much, to go back and beat with a rusty dagger without getting hit. There are runs of Dark Souls and they don't get hit once the entire game. If they get hit once, they reset, right? So there are people that love doing it. And it's great that you can enjoy the game that way, right? And
no, it's not great. I don't like it.
I think it is great because it gives you another way to play the game if you want. Like Final Fantasy 14 has the Heaven on High and Palace of the Dead. These like 100 floor dungeons. One's 200, one's 100, right? And it's meant for 4 players. But you can also with a 4-player group, it's pretty easy, right? Like your average player will probably be able to complete it if they try hard, right? But a lot of players, not a lot, but some players try doing it solo. A dungeon made for 4 players to get all 100 floors done solo is actually much more difficult. And it's great to have that in the game, because even though you're doing it in a weird way where it's not designed for 1 player, but to do that challenge, and that challenge that exists in the game gives other players something to to strive for, something else to do, and they get achievement for doing it, which I think is really cool.
I don't like it.
I like it.
It's fine to try things solo, whatever, mix it up. But my point is, okay, imagine like if you played a game like Slay the Spire or
Yes, I love
The
Slay
Bindings of Isaac.
Mhm.
Okay, in both of these, in these kind of like roguelike games, there's an element of randomness each time you do a dungeon or each time you do a run, right?
MMORPGs would benefit from having that. Yes.
Exactly. So instead of relying on mechanics, they should give there should be a tool set when you go into the raid or dungeon or whatever. And no matter how good you are, if you just get if certain things misalign that run, you just die, and that's part of the experience. I think it'd be a much more healthy environment than just having these mechanics that are literally there to ensure that you have to memorize this pattern, and therefore only people who are willing to put in like 20 hours of memorizing the pattern will do it. Like it's artificial difficulty, and it doesn't. I don't think it serves a purpose.
I think it serves a purpose because it's just bragging rights to be able to try doing it. And I actually ended up doing having a high solo the other day. I got to floor 75 and I died there, but it took me a good 4 or 5 hours to get there doing it solo, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
What's the max? 100?
100, yeah, and obviously it gets way harder at starting at 70. So I'm not gonna be able to do it. You just take like hundreds of hours to be able to actually learn all the mechanics and do it reliably. But stuff like that I think is a lot of fun. But I do agree with you that we do need RNG mechanics, some roguelike elements in MMORPGs. And even old content too. I think Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft have amazing amounts of old raid content that goes underutilized. There's no reason to do old content anymore in these games. But if you can have a boss fight that kind of requires you to do random boss fights throughout the game story, and at level 6 and item 6 you to those fights, so you fight them as if you had those limitations back when they were out, it'd be amazing. Because if it was a random set of boss fights, you couldn't really prepare for it either, because there's so many boss fights in these games that you don't know which ones to prepare for. So it'd be kind of like a really cool test of skill. Do stuff like that.
Yeah, how about this though? Like a lot of games like in Soul Calibur have this one character that has like movesets from all the characters. Yeah,
there's always a fight. There are characters like that in a lot of fighting.
So imagine like some kind of blob boss that telegraphs attacks from any boss in the game, and you got
that would be awesome.
Yeah, so stuff like that. At least it's random that way. Like if you get unlucky and they get like 5 or 6 moves in a row that just happen to be really deadly, you lose.
But there should always be a way to play around that. I think you get unlucky, and get like the hardest mechanics, but it should never be like a guarantee.
It should not be impossible, right? But there should be some element of randomness. You could always you should always be able to overcome it. Yes, I get that.
Yeah. So it'd be like random, but like they would script some things into it to like prevent certain attacks from being in that order to make it impossible, right? But I would love to have a fight like that in Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft or any MMORPG really, because stuff like that would the beauty of that is you design it once with all the abilities thrown in, and like every time you fight that boss, it would be different. And that's the thing lacking in a lot of MMORPGs, because I'm so tired of running the same. Like I have ran the same raids in Final Fantasy 14 countless times. I looked at my FF logs and I can see how many times I killed like certain bosses. I have killed a boss called Chatternook like 70 times. And those are the 70 times I upload the logs. There were plenty of runs and I probably didn't even upload my logs to the website, right? So 70 times on one boss. It's just the same thing over and over. And the boss will never do anything different. It's always the same shit.
All right, fair enough. I want to quickly go back to WoW for a second.
All right.
So, okay, so WoW got rid of PvP servers. But they did, I think, in my opinion, they did a really great feature. And this is probably my favorite feature so far in Battle for Azeroth. So everyone is automatically flagged off for PvP, so you can't get killed by the opposing faction in open world. But you can choose to flag yourself on. And a lot of games do this, right? An optional PvP flag. But usually they give you nothing for it. Like it's literally just so you can fight people. But in WoW, you get a 10% experience boost for both mob kills and quest turn-ins. You get I believe four really powerful talents. Like I'm a priest. One of my AoE heals goes from being a casted spell that takes a few seconds to cast to insta-cast. That's a huge difference, especially if you're fighting other players. I think that's a great feature because now if I see an opposing guy walking around and his flag is off, I can't kill him, but I can feel smug in knowing that he's like a wimp who's getting less loot than me, right? So I think it's a great feature of putting PvP players and PvE players in the same realm, because eventually I want WoW to converge and have one server for each region, and I think it's a good step in integrating the PvP players and the PvE players into the same game. What do you think?
It makes sense, but it's just weird that in a game called Battle for Azeroth, where the Horde and Alliance are at each other's throats and killing each other, that like PvP is consensual. It's just kind of, you're the guy about immersion, right? Does that break your immersion that PvP is consensual in a game called Battle for Azeroth, where your bitter enemies and your mortal enemies on the other side, you just can't fight them? They choose not to fight you.
My preference would be open PvP full loot, right? But we're not going to get that. And Omar, you linked me a funny meme earlier.
That is worth sharing. I'll relink it in.
We have to realize, and you were saying this. Most people are playing these games are casuals. They're not ready for. They can't handle open PvP, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I think rather than punishing PvP players, the fact that they're rewarding PvP and making it optional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can only turn your flag on or off into capital, so you can't like switch on the fly. Like you can't be out grinding. Oh, I'm gonna see the enemy coming. Let me just turn my flag off. I think this is a great. It's a great compromise. I don't see a different way this could go in 2018 than this.
It probably is the best way to handle this, because as this comic clearly shows, we've seen every game built on open world PvP end up with high level players just killing low level players, and then basically people quitting the game, and it just hasn't really worked out. There are no examples of like open world PvP games where this really succeeds. I think the best example might be EVE Online, right, where anything goes. But even that game has so many, like, they have areas of high security, and I think most players never leave high security anyway. So open PvP never becomes an issue for them anyway, right? So very few games can succeed with like full loot open PvP, and we've seen so many games try, because a lot of people that grew up playing Ultima Online, RuneScape, these hardcore old MMORPGs, right? And they go on and they see all the casual games today, and they don't realize that the games are casual for a reason. Despite all our bitching, I think we all realize that a game is casual or super easy for a reason, because most players don't want the hard content. The only thing I really advocate for on this podcast is that I would like to have a more difficult option, like throughout leveling, throughout doing dungeons, that you can do for random rewards or achievements, that you can just do the harder content. But you can't build a game around the hardcore elements like that, because the player base just isn't there to support it. There just aren't that many, the casual players will not play it, and the casual players are your player base.
Indeed.
WoW Online is still surprisingly popular. YRN38.
They're still updating that game.
Yeah, they got an update just this last week. They increased the level cap to like level 900 or something now.
900.
Yes,
is that the highest in the game?
It might, but a lot of these old MMORPGs, I know WoW Online is one of them. I forgot this other one. Redstone is another one, right? Where you get very high level caps into hundreds, right? And there are like rebirth systems or prestige system where you reset back to level 1. So a lot of those old games are really built around a lot of grind.
They got a trailer, boys. Season 8 trailer.
That's an old trailer, because they haven't. This is the latest gameplay trailer, which is for Season 8, even though this update is for Season 13.
Oh wow!
This trailer is like 4 years old, but it's their latest. They stopped making trailers for this game because they realized they ain't really getting new players. It's really the old players still sticking with the game.
Nice.
The level cap is like 900 something now, which is pretty nuts. I think there might be a prestige system in WoW Online, but I forgot.
Oh, I got one quick fast story. So HOTS is adding Mephisto, which is like a boss in Diablo 2, like a not even like the final boss. It's like a Act 3 boss in Diablo 2, and now he's a playable character in HOTS. Isn't that weird? Like I felt that like, Diablo being a character made kind of sense, because he was like literally the named character from the series, but they're adding Mephisto. It's kind of random.
Right. Here's a quiz for you, Altai. In the first act, what was the name of the boss?
Oh, the naked lady.
The naked lady. Do you remember that? Because like Mephisto is the third Act 3 boss. Do you remember the Act 1 and 2 one?
I want to say something like Azera, something with an A.
You're close. It begins with A. I think it's Andariel.
Andariel? Yeah.
Andariel, something like that, right? Do you remember the second Act boss?
That's Duriel, isn't it? No, that's
Duriel. Yes,
Duriel.
Bin Sami got it though, and Dariel and Crunkyfish got it.
Nice. I give myself like 30% credit. Okay.
You got the A, so you got the first letter. It's more like 10% credit, all right? If that.
So here's the quiz, guys. Do you guys think she will be a playable character one day in HOTS?
Why not, right? If they're really reaching with Mephisto anyway, so why not? I think you told me this, that you think at the end of the day, like 5 years from now, 6 years from now, maybe, that HOTS will be the last MOBA standing. It will defeat League of Legends and Dota. Is that what you said?
I said that over a year ago, probably more, and I stick by that. I think for the world we live in today, 2018, the casual world we live in, HOTS is the ideal MOBA. It's the only MOBA that's going to stand. Every year, from now on, I think League and Dota 2 are both going to decline in player base as HOTS slowly increases in player base. All the casuals that play League and Dota 2 are going to migrate to HOTS, but the other players are just going to quit MOBAs. So the only ones left that are playing MOBAs are going to be HOTS players.
I mean, Smite is much smaller than Heroes of the Storm. I think the order is League of Legends, Dota 2, then Heroes of the Storm. And the Heroes of the Storm is surprisingly close to Dota's player base numbers. And we linked an article from Super Data Research showing the player base for all three big MOBAs. And League, while Dota's been declining, HOTS has been growing quite strongly. And I do think, like, compared to like everyone kind of made fun of League of Legends being like too casual, right, compared to Dota, and it did really well. But compared to Heroes of the Storm, like League is a very hardcore game. Like the premise of HOTS is much simpler, more streamlined. I think that does have a pretty big appeal. And while I do think it'll gain players, I don't think it can really destroy. League is still unbelievably popular.
Oh, League is still popular.
Gaining players over the years, so
what has?
You could be right.
HOTS, yeah, it has been gaining players. I think watching Dota evolve to League, evolve to HOTS, and watching MMORPGs evolve really makes me feel old, because I remember when Omar and I first played World of Warcraft, the beta, we're like, oh, let's try this new game. The first thing we both thought, I think, was this is very casual. Like, it's very easy. Like, you don't lose experience when you die. You did an Ember quest. You don't lose any gear when you die. In Ultima Online, you dropped everything. PvP servers are an option, whereas in Dayak and stuff, that wasn't an option. If you were in the high level zones that were contested in Dayak, you could just be killed. Like, there wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't like a choice. Like. So when we played WoW the first time, we thought this was a step down in terms of like hardcoreness. But today, when people are talking about vanilla and like they're excited to go back to the hardcore WoW experience, like it's funny that how much the window has shifted. Where now what was super casual becomes hardcore, and today's games are so much more casual. And the same thing with HOTS. When I was playing Dota, and League came out, my first thought was, this is so casual. This is, you can't lose gold when you die. There's no.
It's much more casual.
You don't need you need a curry to protect. The number of gameplay options was much more limited, because in Dota you can like mind control neutral creeps. You can do all these weird mechanics. And now HOTS, it's just like shared gold, shared experience. There's no gold, is there? There's no gold.
No, there's no gold.
There's no gold. There's not even. You can't buy any items. There's shared experience. So who knows what's next after this? Like, I think kids are going to just put on like a headset and then they're going to drool.
That's autoplay itself.
That's
right?
Gameplay.
No, and the thing is too, you don't even like get abilities every level in HOTS. Every like few levels you can choose a talent, right? That's it. So sometimes you level up but you get nothing. You level up 3 times, you get nothing. It's just every X number of levels you unlock a talent. You have all your abilities available level 1 besides your ultimate. So it is much more casual. It's pretty funny you mentioned that when we played WoW for the first time, we did think it was more casual, because Alta and I grew up playing Ultima Online. And I'm sure old school RuneScape 2 was also very hardcore. I mean, compared to that, WoW is not hardcore really at all, the way old school RuneScape was, or a lot of Ultima Online. So the games have gotten much more casual, and it's not just World of Warcraft too. I mean, literally every single game I know of, like I played Dark Age of Camelot like within the last year, and it keeps getting more casual. It keeps getting easier to level up. I mean, MapleStory Big Bang made the game infinitely more casual and much easier. Every single MMORPG has over the years gotten more and more casual and much easier over the years, and we're seeing that with MOBAs as well. And we've seen that the games that go more casual end up getting more successful. So I could foresee one day HOTS could could take away players from League and Dota. It could happen. It's not outside the realm of possibility.
Oh, it's happening, baby. I'm calling it. And do you remember in MapleStory, like you were saying in pre-Big Bang? I remember when you were like in your mid like 30 level 30, 40, 50, if you died in MapleStory, your heart just sank, because you just lost like an hour of time at least, right, of grind,
if not more.
Yeah, more,
you lost a percentage of your XP.
Yeah,
and it was the worst feeling in the world, because like, okay guys, I gotta go back to grinding for like 2 full hours to make up for what I just lost. Yeah. And if you died at like level 150, like level 100, forget it. You just lost like 2 days worth of grind. It's insane the amount of XP that you lost back then.
Yep. And I remember like playing MapleStory more recently, you like level every 2 seconds, and if you die, I don't even notice when I die. Like I don't even look at my experience, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's quite a bit different from the old school days. There's that lab server MapleStory, which we probably should. We gotta do a Friday video for Lab MapleStory next week. It'll be on the 31st. I think it'll still be open by then too, so we can maybe do a Grandfest Friday video, because I do want to play that. It's just I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft lately, but it's with the custom rule set where if you die you have permadeath, where you reset back to level 10 rather, which could be pretty fun.
All right, here's a question to end on. Do you think the gun control people are just trying to make life PvE only?
Ooh,
You know, like
that's good. That's a good point. All those people trying to take away our guns and add more gun laws, they want to pussify real life too. They want to make real life more casual. Right?
yeah, I want the option of open PvP once in a while. Like I'm at the store, I bump into somebody, they pull out their gun, bam, that's it. Start over.
Yeah, you know, there's like guards and shit too. Like, the guards will punish you if they catch you, but like, I want the option. All right, you got just in case you need it. You know, it just makes things a little more spicy. There you go, guys. Gun control people are trying to make life more casual. All right.
Yeah,
If you're a hardcore player, you vote no on gun control. All right. PvP server equals Syria. Full loot. Permadeath. Oh, unknown filter. That'd be nice. Real PvPers in the Middle East.
that's like zero security in EVE Online.
Spicy.
Oh, one more big story that we should cover. So this week is Gamescom, a convention in old Cologne, Germany. And Ashes of Creation is going to be there. And they actually have some updates. Alpha 1 starts next month. And, okay, so here's a cool thing about Alpha 1. One, they're really ambitious. I want to see this. They're going to have 100-player open-world battlegrounds and 200-player castle sieges. Both will be playable in Alpha 1 next month. That's impressive. Let's see how that goes. And they're also they said they're not going to have daily quest. So daily quest is one of those things that I don't know who introduced it. Was it WoW? It might be WoW.
I don't remember.
But dailies are now like a huge staple in so many MMORPGs. Like you have like a checklist when you log in. You know, like, okay, I got to log in for like an hour or two and just do these 3 things, 5 things. I don't know how I feel about them. I don't like them. But they're part of everything. Blizzard is really hardcore with dailies. Like HOTS has dailies, Hearthstone has dailies, Diablo has dailies. Everything has dailies. What do you think about that? Do you like dailies more?
It gives you something to do, like some kind of reward for coming in. But like, they don't hurt. I'd rather have them than not have them.
Really?
Gives you a reason to do something in a game.
I'd rather they make a reason
while you wait for other things to do, while you wait for new content to do. I like that they're there.
No, I don't.
Like for example, like not really a daily, but Final Fantasy 14 has something like you get like this like bingo board or something, right? And I forgot the exact name because I never actually did it. But you get like this bingo board, and in order to get peace on the bingo board, you have to like do old content, right? And the old content you have to do to get peace on the bingo board are like randomized too. So it's not always the same old content you do. And you can only do this once a week. And if you get like a certain bingo, if you get a certain bingo, you get like a really rare item worth like 20 million gil in the game, which is, you know, a good chunk of change. So it gives you a way to like experience old content, interact with the game in a way that you otherwise wouldn't do. Because beyond that, there's really no reason to do old content like that.
Okay, but what about this? What if the old content was actually good, and then that's the reason to do it?
Well, the thing is, old content is good. The problem is you don't. There's no reason to do old content when if you can sync yourself to the old content level. So if you're doing Heaven's Word content, you can do it at level 60, right, with an item cap sync.
Sure.
So your items get weaker and your level gets weaker, and then it's actually challenging and fun. But there's no reason to do that because you can just do it with level 70 gear.
Can't the fact that it's challenging and fun be the reason? Like, why do people play? Why are you playing Megaman recently? You're playing it because it's challenging and fun.
Oh yeah, I did. I was playing some Megaman.
So why can't the content be challenging and fun? And why can't that be the reason?
It should be, and it is for some people, right? But I think if the thing is, I think if they added some optional content like that required you to do it with the level sync, players would find a way to have fun doing it. Because I do think for a lot of people, like what seems like not fun at first and can end up being fun.
So then instead of dailies, then what if they did this? To do the old content, you're automatically leveled down. You cannot do it at level 70. It's impossible. It won't let you.
That would be fun.
That would be fun then.
Or have 2 versions of it,
right? No, don't have 2 versions. No, one, you cannot do it. You have to desync down. If you can't clear it and you suck too much, no. They can do the current content. That's easy.
No, but have both and give better rewards maybe for the more challenging ones.
If those casuals would not be playing it otherwise, they're not losing anything. Right?
But no, they get pissed off because like why are you making content for the top 1%? You
know? It's already there. I'm making it.
It's already there for the casuals, and you want to take it away from them.
Oh, I guess maybe I see what you're saying. It's too late to go back now. But imagine de-leveling. Imagine initially you could never go into a dungeon at a level that was higher than what it was intended for. Right? It always de-leveled you.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
They're
doing that with the ultimate content, where you can never do the ultimate content with like over-leveled gear. You can't do them in easy mode. There's only a hard mode for the ultimate content. Okay,
that's good. I get what you mean. It's hard to ratchet it back now, but hopefully going forward, they always. And I hope WoW does that too. Like the way WoW works now is, like you said, all the monsters are your level, right? So I hope in the future expansions, when I walk into like this current raid that we're doing, like this current dungeon in Battle for Azeroth, and like level 150 or whatever in the future, I hope it scales so it's still challenging.
So Altai, look at this video. It's a level 80 protection paladin solos Elegon by himself. Pretty silly.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, this is pretty. He hits like a truck. It's pretty silly. But I would love Final Fantasy to give you a reason to do that content. Where you're doing unsynced level, so it becomes harder. Like this last week, I actually played Megaman X3, right? The Megaman I played probably the least of, right, of the X1, 2, and 3 series, and I played with a very weird challenge, right? So I would actually try beating levels without getting hit once. Both the level and the boss. So some levels were doable, right? And if I ever got hit, I would just hit my quick load button to the back of the first part of the stage, right? And then I would just try beating level that way. And once I got to the boss, I have another quick save. That's my only cheat. When you get to the boss, I would quick save at the boss. So if I get hit, I can restart the boss.
You did this?
Like for like an hour, I just did this. Playing some of the bosses in Mega Man X3. If you get hit, you got to restart. Too bad, you know. And then some of the bosses were really easy. Other ones were really hard. But it was really fun. I don't know. I guess maybe not many people probably like doing stuff like that.
No,
but I found
like
it to be oddly satisfying. The challenge in of itself was fun.
I'm not a fan of the whole speedrunning concept.
Yeah. Why? I think it's a lot of fun.
I think it's a lot of fun if there were only like 10 games ever in the world. But with so much stuff to do in this life, right? Like, we have You're Gonna Live Like to Be 80, right? Yeah. There's so many games to play, so many movies to watch, so many books to read, so many places to visit, so many things, so much food to eat, porn to watch, whatever. Like, there you go. I just can't I don't see the point of playing one game for like 10 years to a point where that's all I'm doing every day. Like,
you gotta be the best at that game, all right?
Look, it's a big thing. I'm clearly wrong on this. There's clearly a lot of people that have a career, enjoy, and passion out of these. Yeah, it totally makes sense. I just can't get in that mindset.
But then again, how many games do you have today that are as good as Mega Man X, Altai? How many games are as good as Mega Man X? Not that many.
No, Mega Man X is a great game. I still maintain it's one of the best games.
Yeah, it's one of the best games. You should speedrun me in Mega Man X. Do you think you can beat me?
I mean, since
I haven't really practiced it that much. I've sped run the first level. That was it.
We played that once a while back. I don't remember who won, but I'm down to play it.
We should definitely do a speedrun for Mega Man X sometime, just you and me for fun. See who wins.
Sure, I'm down.
Right.
I'm down to stream it too. I think I'll at least hold my own.
Yeah, you probably will. I mean, again, I've probably only beaten the whole game a couple times. Mm-hmm. But it should be fun. Anyway, I think with that we should go to the post game.
Okay, we'll discuss the rules in the post game. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Sadly, we're gonna miss Grand Fest Friday this week, but we'll be back next week. So
yeah,
take care.
Take care, guys. Take care for YouTube.